this program on the road. And look, the Republicans have a choice. One choice, of course, is to say no to the president, but they're going to have to go out to explain that to the American people, and the other choice is to work with the president. Now, I'm not holding my breath giving their past record on whether they're going to really work with the president on his full plan, but what was important was to work with them to get what we can done, but let people know where he is, because we're going into an election and it's important for the president to lay out his agenda and contrast himself very strongly with what the Republicans are doing and what they stand for. So let me just say a couple words about the so-called super committee with us to do two things. Number one, to help get people back to work and get the economy moving, because the fastest way to reduce the deficit is to get people back to work. I mean, the longer people are out of work, the longer the economy is stalled, the longer people are hurting, and the worse the deficit gets. So they got to work with us on that. And then when it comes to reducing the deficit over a long period of time, they have to take a balanced approach. You cannot do this by cutting a loan. We're not going to adopt the House Republican plan to end the Medicare guarantee and slash Medicare. We're not going there. Are we willing to look at some willing to look at some ways to modernize some programs? Yes, we are, but they have to meet us halfway, meaning they got to be willing to get rid of some of these loopholes that are benefiting big corporations, oil and gas companies, corporate jets, and they got to...
In the entire Congress in the United States of America, we're thrilled to have him, and we're also
We know how important it is for us as Democrats, but also as the American people, to uphold the values that keep us together. And when the President spoke, in addition to, I think, some great ideas that he laid out for getting people back to work, the other thing that he shared with us was the important social contract, the contract that we have as neighbors, as communities, and as Americans together, and that the policies that we work on and the fixes that we work on are also about those values. And I know that you'll protect those values in your work on the super committee. And you know, clearly the Democrats here have something good going on, because you know the sky's open and it's sunshine, so that must bode well for whatever the heck it is that you guys are going to do. But thank you very much for your leadership. So we've got a lot of work to do. Clearly we do our work here in Maryland, boy do we do our work, but we've got to do that in so many more congressional districts all across this country, because for those of us who live here, one of the things that we know is that it's important for us to have a Democratic majority in the House of Representatives, because that strengthens our progressive majorities here in Maryland's 4th and 8th congressional districts. And so
for doing this every year, and thanks Chris and Donna for the fight you're putting up in Capitol Hill. There's some low-budget cats there for the Republican Party, and you guys are really doing a great job for us. I'm going to talk briefly about the election next year in a little bit different way, sort of focus on the state, and I won't talk long because every syllable costs me a vote, and we'll preach to the choir. But here's the deal. Barack Obama's going to be on the ballot. I was honored to co-chair the campaign along with Elijah Cummings last time. Let's be realistic, the passion is not there as widespread as it was last time. And for whatever reason, and I suggest it's misguided, because there ought to be even more passion this time. But we're going to need the Silver Spring Democratic Club, which is a passionate group of Democrats, to go out and work hard, obviously in Maryland, but also in Pennsylvania and Virginia, because those are going to be critical states where we need you to go out and do what we did last time and make sure that happens. The other is the 10th anniversary of 9/11. And if you think about what 9/11 did for many of us, it certainly did for me, reminded of why we're Americans, being part of the political process, the principles that we espouse, the principles that we hold dear as Democrats. Well, 2 of them are going to be on the ballot next year. Not the specific issues, but what those issues represent. And that's same-sex marriage and the DREAM Act. And both of those issues...
Again, Jonathan and Rebecca played just a huge role in helping us launch our Democratic Club and get it to the point where we've been able to do some good work over a period of many years. What I want to do is read the plaque from our club, and then I want other people who have worked with Jonathan and Rebecca and for whom they've worked to come up and make a few remarks as well. So, Greater Silver Spring Democratic Club In recognition and gratitude for your many contributions, Rebecca Lord and Jonathan Sherberg, good friends and good Democrats. September 10th, 2011.
Thank you very much. This is quite an honor, and let me just say that we didn't have the party at our house this year, which means two things. One, we did not have our yard cleaned, so in the future it is the thing that motivates us to go out and do any yard work. And two, it is not the hottest day of the year, so I can't quite recognize everyone if you're not sweating buckets and leaning over the water in the back. So it's a great honor, and thank you so much, and we're very happy to have done the work over the years. And so, Jonathan?
Thank you, Mark. I barely need this microphone, but I'll use it anyway. I just want to say thank you to, I mean, I look around here and I see we started this in 2005, which I just want to say to Mark, wasn't that many years ago. He made it sound a little bit like prehistory, like, you know, several thousand years ago, but it was only 6 years ago that we started this. And at that point, quite frankly, I wasn't all that involved in local politics, and neither was Rebecca. We were a little bit, but not a lot. And I look around just at the people here today, and I say, in the last 6 years, the people I've had the privilege of getting to know and to work with in many cases, and hopefully we'll be working with again in the future. And it's kind of humbling to say, wow, because of letting people use my yard and you know, hang out and do some things like that, that I've gotten to meet, you know, all the fantastic people here, and some who are not. Their loss. But it really is, the only word that comes to mind is kind of humbling. And I look forward to 6 and many more years of doing the same thing with all of you, working for democratic causes in the future. So thank you very much.
I believe in science.
She's in exile. The choice for America really is between public health and the public interest. The entire membership extends best wishes.
I've known Rebecca from a burned boot until about 5 years ago when she called me and said that she'd like to interview for a position on my staff, and I didn't know Rebecca Lord, and she said, well, call Jamie Raskin, he'll give me a recommendation.
To read, and then we have some. So, okay, this is from Nancy Fleury. Thanks.
I rely on Rebecca for movie reviews. She's the best. Encyclopedia, really, and always good recommendations. So everything that was said, I ditto, and this is
for being friends, I get most of all, and helping us get elected, and help.
District 18, maybe in the clouds. Do you want all the other and all the noise on the playground? But I just want to take a terrific district, and we are looking forward to doing more of that. We have phones to lend. We have lists that we can provide to folks. If you all want to have a phone bank in your home, in a rec center.
Key elected officials continue having conversations about marriage equality. So on Tuesday nights at 6 and Thursday nights at